Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Archie Smith, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, a monthly webinar with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for attending. We have over 200 registrations for today's webinar, many of which already submitted questions for today's webinar. Once again, my name is Archie Smith, and I'm a franchise director and CEO with Big Execs North Texas, and I will be serving for your moderator for today's event, which is titled Grow and Expand Your Business with the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Some of the topics we're going to be talking about are right beneath this. Our guest speaker today is Jennifer Erickson. I'll be the moderator, and the host is Rena Bhatia, who unfortunately is unable to make it with us today, but we'll go down and get started. First, I would like to talk about the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, who has Rena Bhatia as one of the board members, and she is currently been serving on that board for some time now. The Asian American Chamber of Commerce is dedicated to improving the economic development for Asian Pacific Americans owned businesses in the North Capital Region, and it also facilitates growth and development of member businesses through the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, which for these companies who are seeking to diversify their supplier base and members, this is actually a great place to start. Just a little bit about the membership benefits for the Asian American Chamber of Commerce is on the screen. I recommend and encourage everyone to go and take a look at their site and see how the Asian American Chamber of Commerce can help you benefit and grow your business. As I mentioned before, just a little bit of information about myself. My name is Archie Smith, and I will be moderating. This is Rena, the CEO for Bid Execs and Proposal Helper. And it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker for today, Jennifer Erickson. And Jennifer, without not doing you any disservice, and I can talk about all the impressive things on your resume, but I would really like for the registrants or the guests today to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, not too much though. I have worked with EPA my whole federal career. I began with the agency back in June in 1998. So I'm going to have coming up on 25 years with EPA. Once again, it's the only federal agency I've ever worked for. I've always been under the Division of Mission Support. So I did 10 years in the facilities management section, did 11 years in grants management. And then for my last chapter of my federal career, there was an opportunity for the small business utilization specialist back in 2019 because the specialist was retiring. I threw my name in the hat, and here I am. So since September 2019, I've been in this role. We'll go into the presentation about this, but my role not only supports Region 7, but Region 10 as well. The contracting office supports Region 10 as well because they don't have their own shop of a contracting office. Obviously, there's program partners, but not contract specialists. But anyway, last thing, go Chiefs. Okay, so let's go on to the presentation, shall we? Okay, so, all right, y'all. So once again, my role. So once again, I work in the contracts office. My role as the small business utilization specialist, as I mentioned, not only supports EPA Region 7, and that's going to be Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska, but
Jennifer,
also
excuse
supports
me.
Region 10.
Sorry
I'm
to
sorry,
stop
was
that.
there a question?
Yes, yes. It looks like we still have you up and haven't transitioned to the slide deck as of yet. So
Oh, that's okay. We're on the cover slide anyway till I get to slide 2.
okay,
You're all
it
good.
looks like
No,
okay.
no, I'll tell you when we can go on to slide 2. We're great. This is just another little intro. So with Region 10, which I mentioned that we also support, those that would be Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. So today, I just want to let you know I'm going to touch on my role as the specialist. I'm going to touch on the EPA big picture and regional spend, valuable resources and tools, important reminders regarding solicitations, and our FY 2023 anticipated remedial action opportunities. So, okay, if we can go on to slide 2. So my role as the small business utilization specialist, I provide a liaison relationship between the acquisition team, the program offices, firms, and the Small Business Administration, which is the SBA. I advise small businesses regarding forecasted contracting opportunities. I assist with market research to find small businesses for acquisition for the contracts office and program offices. And I promote and encourage opportunities for small businesses to participate in EPA acquisitions and meet EPA's agency goals. Slide 3, please. Okay. So if we're looking at EPA big picture, an EPA big picture perspective, what does EPA spend their money on? Well, on an EPA big picture spend, the top common spend categories are facilities and construction, professional services, information technology, research and development. And in regard to the facilities and construction, we're not building buildings or facilities necessarily. We're speaking more to facilities support services and remediation services. Next slide, please. Okay, so the regional spend. So the main types of services EPA Region 7 and Region 10 purchase they are similar. Remediation services, general warehousing and storage, temporary help services, and facilities support services. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our contracting with EPA site. So EPA has this, contracting with EPA side, and the link I've attached is to this homepage. You can get information on doing business with EPA, including but not limited to important elements of the contracting process, points of contact, information on the regulations and policies applicable to EPA acquisitions, and frequently asked questions. And there are some valuable resources that you might want to check out that are on the tools for doing business with EPA page. And you can see under the second section where it says opportunities, that's where that tools for doing business with EPA, that's where the link is. Next slide, please. Okay, so when we were on that contracting with EPA site, there is also a link to the EPA acquisition forecast database, and it was right under that opportunities as well, where I had mentioned for the tools. But anyway, the EPA acquisition forecast database, those are for, anticipated procurement opportunities. And the information in the database is based on the best information available at the time of posting. It's intended for planning purposes and provides information on future contract opportunities over 250,000. And once on the site, uh, under current opportunities, you can search because there's filter options. You can search by end user and the procurement office and the NAICS code, the solicitation issue date, et cetera. And you can also, when I said those filter options, you can just keep drilling down to what you want it to look like. For direct access to the database, I did include a link on the slide. Once again, the information in the database, it's based on the best information available at the time of posting. And the information is monitored and it's updated as appropriate when needed, as we do strive to be transparent with the public. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, there's a tools for doing business with EPA, and the resource on this page that I want to bring your attention to is the EPA active contracts listing page. And this is a popular resource that gives the public and contractors a look at what the agency is buying. And the EPA active contracts, it contains active contracts among all contract types. It allows users to search descriptions and award types, firm names, socioeconomic status, contract ceilings, and more. And once again, for the active contracts that EPA has. Uh, Many small businesses will reach out to large businesses with specific contracts and services they provide for potential subcontracting opportunities. And I did put a link on there for direct access to that database. Okay, next slide, please. Got lots of databases here. Okay, the Small Business Vendor Database. EPA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, that's our headquarters, folks. Uh, they maintain a small business vendor database. It's a web-based database of small business firms interested in doing business with EPA. One of the purposes of this database is to aid large prime contractors with finding suitable small business subcontractors. And it acts as a market research tool for EPA. So if you are a small business, I encourage you to register your firm if you haven't already, because it is a great way to get your name out there. Slide 9, please. Okay. These databases have more than one purpose, so I'm going to give you another purpose of this database. And another purpose of it is that, and I want to bring your attention to, is the event list page. So here's just a quick look at what EPA's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization events page looks like. And if you click on the plus sign to the right of the event, I know it looks kind of weird on the side there. Sorry about that. But if you click on that, it'll provide you more details of the event, such as the when and the where, the point of contact, the description, and the agenda. So you should always be trying to get to this page and see what's out there. Look at that, specifically for hub zones. Well, there's a national conference coming up. So if it's something that's going to fit you to your particular socioeconomic category or categories, because many folks aren't just small business. Maybe they're women owned. Maybe they're 8A. So anyway, I really encourage you to check this page out because they do have stuff all the time. And it's a good way to learn and hear what they're talking about. Um, so I encourage you to do so. Next slide, please. Okay, important reminders regarding solicitations, SAM, and Fed Connect. So, before I go on to those FY 2023 forecasted opportunities, I would like to provide a few important reminders regarding solicitations, although they may be basic or elementary, um, and also briefly touch on the System for Award Management, the SAM, and Fed Connect. So solicitations are located on sam.gov and fedconnect.net. Regarding sam.gov specifically, it is the official U.S. government system for contract opportunities. As a reminder, it is mandatory that all firms interested in doing business with the U.S. federal government to register their firms in the SAM. Active registration provides your firm the ability to bid on government contracts. To maintain active registration, firms must review and update information in the SAM database on an annual basis from the date of initial registration or, subsequent updates to ensure it's current and accurate and complete. There is no fee to register or maintain your registration. So if you receive an email from a company claiming to represent SAM, be cautious. If you get an email from the company offering to help you register in SAM, asking you to contact them and pay them money, be cautious. So the other part on that slide, okay, because I also mentioned Fed Connect to search for opportunities. Fed Connect, it not only provides that as a source for you to search the opportunities, but it provides contract professionals a secure, full life cycle, audible approach to interacting with firms. So it includes a message center that manages the communications. And I've included the links there for sam.gov and Fed Connect. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's continue on. But now let's talk about those important solicitation reminders. Once again, what I'm going to share might be basic. However, it's very noteworthy because it's noteworthy to mention this information as there could be ramifications regarding your proposal that you've submitted if the stuff isn't followed. So, what are we looking at here? Well, read the posting in its entirety. Look at every word. Don't skim through it. Look at the clauses. Pay close attention to the instructions and the conditions and notices to bidders. What do the proposal instructions say? How do they want a proposal submitted? Where is the information submitted? Are the proposals to be submitted via the Fed Connect web portal, which we just talked about? If so, in order to submit proposals, the offers, they must register in Fed Connect. And if you go to that main page of the Fed Connect website, there are registration instructions. If you need assistance in registering or have technical questions, they have a help desk, they have an email support line. So you can always have help with that because this Fed Connect's not an EPA system. So if you reach out to me, I'm really not going to be able to help you. You got to go through those folks. Just like how I mentioned with Sam, there is no charge for registration in or use of Fed Connect. So I just want to remind you of that. And on that last one, when I said the what, the how, the where, it's the when. When are the no later than dates and times? Got to pay attention to that. Pay attention to that cutoff. So bottom line, remember the what, the how, the where, and the when. Next slide, please. Okay. So once again, these are going to be our FY 2023 anticipated remedial action opportunities. EPA, we may have, EPA Region 7, excuse me, may have more than what is listed here. However, I can't speak to them until they're officially reviewed and approved. So I just want to give you a heads up about that. But for additional anticipated opportunities, please go to the EPA Acquisition Forecast database. Because when you do go out there, you're going to see it's more than just 23 opportunities. You're going to see what we anticipate for FY24 and FY25, because once again, it's a 3-year planning. So you probably want to check out that database just to go see what's going on, because you need to plan for this stuff. So anyway, let's look at what we anticipate with the NAICS code 562910. Once again, remediation services. And one more thing I'm going to note here as I go into these anticipated opportunities. Please understand that I'm unable to provide more information than what is listed here, because the anticipated solicitations for these will provide more information when they come out. So what you have here, what I'm going to share, is once again all that I can provide. You have to wait for the solicitation to come out. So as we see here, we have a Region 7 Caney residential yards OU01, and that's going to be for residential yards mine waste remediation, and it's in Kansas. Since I told you that we plan on awarding it, since these are anticipated actions for FY 2023, the target award year then will be in the last quarter. So that would be Q4. And this is restricted to HUBZone certified companies. And there's the estimated dollar amount. Next slide, please. Region 7 Orinoco Dunweg Mining Belt. This is Ivy and 2nd Street remedial action. This is a soil remediation in Missouri with a target award of Q4. Now this one is restricted to 8A certified companies. And you see the estimated dollars there as well. Next slide, please. Okay. Region 7 former United Zinc and Associated Smelters, OU1 residential properties. Another soil remediation in Kansas. Target award in Q4. Now pay attention to this. This is important. You know, before the Ivy and 2nd Street, that was a competition restricted to 8A certified companies, but this is going to be a non-competitive. This is going to be a non-competitive sole source for an 8A certified firm. And government agencies, you know, obviously have the right to make procurement methods to be sole source. I will say that EPA has a very ambitious 8A goal. It's over 17%. So we really are trying to hit that goal. So if you see, you know, 8A in the past two that I'm talking about, it's because we're really trying to hit that goal this year. Next slide, please. Okay. So Region 7 Orinoco Dunweg OU1 mine waste remediation. Remediation of mine waste in Missouri. Anticipated target award in Q4. And on this one, it's small business, period. 100% small business. And the estimated dollars is there as well. Next slide, please. Region 7 Plating Inc., OU1, contaminated soil remediation. This will be in Kansas. Anticipate to award in Q4. Once again, 8A, this is a non-competitive sole source for an 8A certified firm. And the estimated dollars are there. And on each page, I don't know if you noticed, I just went ahead and put on those slides the main page, because once again, I really want you guys to check out the main page, and that's why I was putting it on the last several bit of slides there, because it has so much information. And not only that, when you go to that main page, you can access that. And I did put a direct link on one of the slides, but also you can access the forecast database from that homepage. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is my last one. And there's my contact information, and feel free to reach out. Once again, I will say that anytime you want to send me a capabilities statement, please do so. Please email it to me. Even though I don't maintain a bidders list or anything similar, I do hold on to those. So please reach out if you have any forecast questions, because once again, or just general questions, because if I don't have the answer, I can find out the answer. Because once again, I am that liaison for the contracts and program offices. So they are made aware that questions and inquiries that they should be directed towards me. So if you ever reach out to a contracting officer just randomly, they will forward it to me so I can check it out to see what it's about. And then I will respond to you. Now, obviously, if it's after award and you're supposed to um, respond to a contracting officer directly, or a RFP says that you can contact the contracting officer, obviously that's different. But outside of that, please send all your questions and inquiries to me. And thanks for your time. I'm ready for questions if you have some.
Jennifer, thank you for presenting that information. It is my greatest appreciation for what you've shared. So what I'll do is I'll go down and start with the first question, and it was actually a pre-webinar question that came out, and that is, how have small businesses not met your expectations, and what advice would you give to small business who are looking to do business with the EPA?
I don't know if there's been any small businesses that haven't met my expectations. I know the ones that reach out. I always make sure that if they want to get their names out there, they put their name on, they get their name out on that vendors list that I asked them to register on. I remind them, please go to that events page. If there's opportunities to show up at an event, please do so. The capability statements. I was going to say, if you have one and you want to send it to me, because especially once again, I just went over these FY 2023 anticipated opportunities. Remedial is big in Region 7. I was going to say particularly, with that NAICS code 562910. So reach out, because I as much as market research that I can do for performance history in the federal procurement data system, a market research tool that SBA maintains, the dynamic small business search, and other resources I can use, it still doesn't hurt to try to send something to me directly.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, if we are not 8A certified, we could subcontract for the prime, correct? And would we have to contact the prime 8A directly after the award?
Would you have to contact a prime directly after award? Is
Correct.
that I'm sorry, what okay, so the first part is you're a sub wanting to subcontract with the prime. Am I on the right am I in
Yes,
line
if
with
we
what
are
they're
not
saying?
8A certified.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can still be part of a teaming arrangement or a be a subcontractor and not be 8A if that prime would like to have you, work with them to be a subcontractor. Once again, I always like to refer folks, especially the small businesses with wanting to do subcontracting. Go to that active EPA contrast listing page to see who was awarded, who received the award. Once again, uh, subcontracting folks, those folks that would like to at least be part of getting the money, right? Reach out to them. You got to reach out to them directly and say, "Hey, are there any potential opportunities here that I could be a subcontractor for you?" You have to make those connections, yourself. So even though you may not be 8A, but the firm is, you know, the one actually bidding on the job, yeah, you can work with them. You don't have to be an 8A yourself as the subcontractor. That prime does if they're going out for an 8A award, trying to bid on one. But that subcontractor doesn't have to be 8A certified. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And thank you for that one. The next question I have is, does the EPA contract for digital marketing and video production needs?
Do we have needs for that? Is
Yes.
that the question?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you
I don't
contract
want to
for
misspeak.
digital
Yeah,
marketing?
yeah, I don't want to misspeak. This is what I can say specifically without hesitation on this. I'm not, I mean, based on the things that I said that EPA Region 7 and Region 10 buy, that's not going to be one of our requirements. However, with that said, if you go into that forecast database, now I wouldn't know what the NAICS code is off the top of my head for that type of service. But once again, I did mention you can search by NAICS code. So you go in there and then you put in that NAICS code because you want to filter to see if it even comes up. And if there are requirements as a whole, because mean EPA as a whole, then perhaps something might come up. But I can honestly tell you, Region 7 and Region 10 wouldn't really have a requirement for that. Maybe EPA as a whole.
Okay. Thank you. A follow-on question to one that was asked earlier. What is the most common error or mistake that you see that small businesses make when attempting to do business with the EPA?
Okay, I'll say this. You know, I talked about how solicitations, they'll be out, as they say, out on the street. SAM.gov, FedConnect, .net. That's where you can search for opportunities. But before that, a lot of times we are sticking out there requests for information, sources sought, looking ahead like a market research tool before a solicitation is even issued. And I got to say, if you see one of those and you're not responding to it, now remember, it doesn't guarantee you an award or there's no binding agreement just because you respond. But if you aren't responding, then you aren't letting us know that you're interested. So by all means, please, if you see something that's applicable to a service you provide and hey, they're looking for WOSB, Women Owned Small Business. They're looking for Hub Zone. And that's a service I provide. You really need to respond. Well, I've responded before, but I didn't get okay. And that's understood. And it's so competitive out there. It is so competitive out there. But even if in the past it did not end up in your favor, each and every time, if there is a request for information or sources sought and it can fall under your purview, you got to respond.
Okay, so my understanding is that make sure that they are continuing to check the database and looking for opportunities that have come down. And if there are any type of RFIs or something like that that was come out, making sure that they're actively watching that opportunity and responding. Is that a good rephrase?
Yes. Yes. And pay attention to those
Awesome.
cutoff dates. Once again, just like solicitations. And also remember, how do they want you to respond to it? All these different things, RFI, source sought, solicitations. There are certain ways they want you to respond, and there's obviously going to be cutoff times. So please pay attention to that.
Awesome. Speaking of responding, if a company would like to partner with the EPA to support the visibility of opportunities, who would be a best point of contact? Would that be you, Jennifer?
Once again, I am the point of contact. If you go directly, like a question such as that, if you go directly to a contracting officer, a program person, they're just going to send it my way. So please send a question inquiry to me.
Awesome. Thank you. No, and this question is just to follow up on something that you actually said in your presentation, talking about the EPA's goals of hitting 17% for 8A. What is the likelihood that you would actually hit that? And what do you think the greatest challenge to the EPA to meet that goal?
Well, as I mentioned, it's a very robust goal. It's very ambitious. What I can tell you is we certainly try to meet all the goals, obviously. We have, the small business goal. You have a hub zone goal that EPA specifically has raised to, used to be 3%. And now this year it's 3.2%. We have a service disabled veteran goal of 5%, women owned of 5%. And then, as I mentioned, that very ambitious 8A goal. We seriously try to hit all the buckets. We know how important it is for everyone to have a piece of the pie. So we really strive to do that. Specifically with that 8A, obviously you can see we are really trying to strive to hit that, even though it's ambitious. And that's why, based on this presentation, you saw several ones geared towards that effect, trying to hit that 8A, whether it's sole source or competitive.
Thank you. Going to a couple of the questions that were in the pre-webinar question and answer form. There are several different, and I'll just use this as a general answer to some of the questions that are asked about the different industry and NAICS codes that are out there. Jennifer mentioned the best way to do is look at the database, look at your NAICS codes, and then see if there's an opportunity that is applicable. Jennifer, if you had to give one thing, or if you have to have one last piece of advice that you can give to a small business or an 8A, what would that be going forward as we look at, the upcoming finishing out the 2023 fiscal year and preparing for opportunities down the pipeline?
I would say do your research. One of the biggest things that can be a roadblock for folks is because they don't maybe know, and that's fair, they maybe don't know if what they are selling, that particular agency is buying. And then they're spinning their wheels. Maybe they're focused on one thing that is not really something a requirement. Like we just had the, for EPA. One of the, and I'm sorry once again, as I said, I don't know the specific NAICS code for the person that asked about, was it digital media or something to that effect. You need to go like, every federal agency has a forecast, and I'm sure a lot of folks already know that. It's not like EPA only has this forecast database with a 3-year plan. So many other agencies also have a database, and you need to go into their database and try to do the same thing. Yes, they may not be the exact database, I can understand that, but it is going to be something similar. And you don't need to be spinning your wheels, going to the wrong folks and reaching out and sending capability statements. That's a lot of your time and efforts spent. So do your homework, do your research on the front end first, and find out what agencies are buying what you are selling. Once you find that out, you stay on top of that information. You be looking out on FedConnect, SAM.gov under that specific agency for any RFIs, sources sought, and anticipated solicitations. You need to do your homework up front and your research because once again, small business, we know that you're out there and we do want you. But I was going to say, but you need to also make sure that you are looking out for your best interests and don't just be trying to contact everyone in the world. Save on those resources and contact the folks that are applicable to you.
Great point. And this could be very overwhelming for a small business to go through and look at all the opportunities, not only through the EPA and the other agencies that are out there. Do you have any recommendations for how to better do your research?
I do. If you Google, and maybe one of you guys could put it in the chat. Earlier, I spoke about when I do market research, and I said FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System. And it might also be Federal Procurement Data System Next Generation, I forget. pull up that site. This is just, see, we have all kinds of databases we could talk about. Go on that site. What you can do, again, is put in your NAICS code. You put in your NAICS code, and it's going to show, because there's filter options for that as well, what are the agencies that are buying those types of services. So that's one way you can find out. And when you find out that information, then you can start researching, okay, USDA actually buys what I'm selling, because you found out based on this NAICS code, these are the top 10 folks that are buying my stuff. So then once you have that information, then you go out on their particular database, and then you start searching for your NAICS code. And once again, just because they may not have anything for FY 2023, that does not mean they're not going to have something anticipated for future fiscal years. Because I talked about, like with EPA, and it's most federal agencies do the same. It's a 3-year plan. And you're doing, once again, your homework up front so you can plan accordingly. If you didn't get it this year, oh, look, we better have our ducks in a row for next year. So check out FPDS. Like I said, look on there to see who is buying what based on your NAICS code. From there, once you see that, hit up their database and start plugging in your NAICS code to see if there's any anticipated opportunities for now or for future fiscal years.
Awesome, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and add that into the chat box. So once again,
It does not cost to search FPDS.
No, it does not cost a search. And I'll use this as a shameless plug, but there are also companies that are out there that will help with this process of what we would call pipeline management and look at those opportunities, my company being one of them. But you also can go off into FPDS and look and do your research that way as well. It just sometimes seems like it's extremely overwhelming for a small company to go through and just search the vast amount of agencies and opportunities that are coming, not only in the current fiscal year, but in the future fiscal years. So best of luck to everyone who's looking for those type of opportunities. Jennifer, once again.
And I would also plug, what else also I'd plug? If you're a small business, have you reached out to they just recently changed their name. They were PTACs, Procurement Technical, centers.
Yeah.
They've now changed their name to Apex Accelerator, I believe. Who's your folks in your area that you can reach out to? Because they will assist you in helping small businesses. Just come to them with your specific questions so they can help you better. Not, because if you're a small business, you're already at least set up with knowing what services you provide. Hopefully you're already registered in the SAM, because they're going to tell you to do that if you haven't. But anyway, there are resources out there that will assist you, because it is overwhelming. I can understand that. I can appreciate that.
Okay, I added, and you're correct. It is Apex Accelerator. I put that off in there as a good source to look in your local area to find opportunities. Jennifer, once again, on behalf of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, bid execs and proposal helper, I would like to thank you for your time and providing opportunities for the small businesses and registrants who are on this call today. And with that, I bid you farewell and looking forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much. You all take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. And for everyone else, the slides will be posted on our YouTube channel, which you can find the Bid Execs videos at our YouTube channel at Bid Execs videos. Thank you. Goodbye.